Mr. President.
The majority leader is recognized.
I ask unanimous consent that following the cloture vote on the Branstad nomination, the Senate proceed to the en bloc consideration of the following nominations: Executive Calendar 56 and 57. I ask consent the Senate vote on the nominations en bloc with no intervening action or debate, that if confirmed, the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table en bloc. The President be immediately notified of the Senate's action, that no further motions be in order, and that any statements relating to the nominations be printed in the record.
Is there objection? Without objection.
Now, Mr. President, I don't have to tell colleagues how important the Internet and other wireless technologies have been in our modern society. From the way students learn to the way we do business, and even the way we as senators keep in touch with our constituents, these advancements have in many ways fundamentally changed how we operate. But it's important to remember that these groundbreaking technological advances didn't just come about because of government mandates or heavy-handed bureaucracy. They grew out of an environment that allowed for and actually encouraged innovation. From the Clinton years onward, there was a bipartisan consensus that we should maintain the kind of light regulatory touch that allowed this innovation to thrive in the first place, in order to open the door to further advancements. Unfortunately, Mr. President, that changed under the Obama administration, which used the FCC to force through antiquated regulations designed for an age of rotary phones and switchboards. Today, however, we finally have an FCC chairman who recognizes that we live in an entirely new era, an era of smartphones and laptops and other mobile devices. We have a chairman who believes that innovation, ingenuity, growth, and job creation aren't dirty words to be stifled with unnecessary red tape. And so today it is expected that Chairman Pai and Commissioner O'Reilly will take the first necessary step to address a deeply flawed Obama-era dictate that empowered bureaucrats with vast new powers to control the Internet through archaic rotary telephone regulations from nearly a century ago. No matter how well intended, this overreach threatened the very innovative and their families. So let's just take a look at the chart behind me. In Kentucky, under Obamacare, % of our counties, 49% have one insurer. One. Kentuckians in half of our counties have one choice. And really, when you have one choice, you have no choice at all. It's not like the situation is unique to my state either. This year, there are 26 states with at least one county where residents have only a single insurance option under Obamacare. That means millions of Americans living in more than 1,000 counties across the country really have no choice at all, when it comes to Obamacare. Those families didn't get the increased choices they were promised under that law. They've been left to shoulder the burden nonetheless. And things have only gotten worse over time. In fact, just this week, people on the Obamacare exchanges in 3 more states, Vermont, Virginia, and Oregon, learned they could face double-digit premium increases as high as 20% next year. So I would ask our Democratic friends, are you really okay? Are you really okay with Obamacare's continuing attacks on the middle class? One constituent from Lexington in my state wrote me about her frustration with the status quo under Obamacare. Here's what she had to say. My insurance is way more than what I can afford. I can't imagine many others who can pay more for health insurance than their mortgage. She and her husband had shopped on the exchanges for health care, but the lowest premium options were about $1,000 a month. Listen to this, $1,000 a month, and that got you a $10,000 deductible. $1,000 a month would only get you a policy with a $10,000 deductible. So they decided to go uninsured and pay the penalty. The cost will be minor, she said, compared to the useless premium cost. The last part of this Kentucky woman's message is something I think we should all remember throughout this debate. She said, please remember there are many people depending on Congress to set this right, us to set this right. Americans like her are counting on all of us to leave Obamacare's failures where they belong, in the past. For years, they've suffered under a collapsing system, yet our friends across the aisle have continued to defend the broken law regardless of its significant problems that even many of them have, by the way, started to acknowledge. Last week, Senate Democrats sent me a letter effectively admitting that the Obamacare status quo is unsustainable. I hope that means they're prepared to join us in moving beyond this failed law. Otherwise, Senate Democrats are essentially telling the American people they're okay with the status quo, that Obamacare's collapsing markets, double-digit premium increases, and counties with only one insurer represent the new normal for health care in our country. Surely they're not comfortable with that. My constituents refuse to accept the status quo. The only question that really remains is this: will Senate Democrats work with us to move beyond the status quo? The entire Senate Republican Conference has been at work debating ideas and making progress. We're pursuing smarter health care policies for Kentuckians, like the couple in Lexington, and the millions more like them across the nation who know that Obamacare just isn't working. I hope our friends on the other side of the aisle will agree to join us in bringing some relief to all of these families who desperately need it.